Then she puts down the iron in fascination.
It's worth $100,000 now.
Wow.
What is?
10 grand.
That's a lot.
So
For
it's
what?
equivalent to 100 grand today.
10,000?
So like
That's how much their check
$10,000
was.
anyways that they got for $100,000.
What have we got on?
wow.
And they,
100,000?
You are looking at what a well-dressed Nigerian woman wears.
She parades for Ruth, her hair completely hidden by the headdress. She is coquettishly fanning herself with an ornate oriental fan, mistakenly more like butterfly than any Nigerian that ever was.
Isn't it beautiful?
She promenades to the radio and with an arrogant flourish turns off the good loud blues that is playing.
Enough of this assimilationist junk.
Ruth follows her with her eyes, and she goes to the phonograph and puts on a record and turns and waits ceremoniously for the music to come up. Then, with a shout,
Yeah, I already forgot how to pronounce that.
Okomo go sai.
Akomagosai!
Ruth jumps, the music comes up, a lovely Nigerian melody. Benita listens, enraptured, her eyes far away, back to the past. She begins to dance. Ruth is dumbfounded.
What kind of dance is that? A folk dance.
Pearl Bailey, I have no idea what that means.
What kind of folks do that? It's from Nigeria. It's a dance of welcome. Who are you welcoming? The men back to the village.
Where they been?
How should I know? Out hunting or something. Anyway, they're coming back now.
Well, that's good.
With the record, so you're kind of like singing, we can skip that.
Yeah.
Walter comes in during this performance. He has obviously been drinking. He leans against the door heavily and watches his sister, at first with distaste. Then his eyes look off, back to the past. As he lifts both his fists to the roof, screaming,
yeah, and Ethiopia stretched forth her hands again.
dryly looking at him.
Yes. And Africa sure is claiming her own tonight.
She gives them both up and starts ironing again, all in a drunken, dramatic shout.
Shut up! I'm digging them drums. Them drums move me.
He makes his weaving way to his wife's face and leans in close to her.
In my heart of hearts,
He thumps his chest,
I am much worried.
without even looking up.
In your heart of hearts, you are much drunk hard.
Coming away from her and starting to wander around the room shouting.
Me and Jomo.
Intently, in his sister's face, she has stopped dancing to watch him in his unknown mood.
That's my man, Kenyatta.
Shouting and thumping his chest.
Flaming spear. Hot damn.
He's suddenly in possession of an imaginary spear and actively spearing enemies all over the room.
Okomagosai. The lion is waking. Oh,
A whim away.
a weem away.
Don't do this. He pulls his shirt open and leaps up. Now you can do this. Leaps up on the table and gestures with his. Not that one. That one.
Oh, that was bad.
And he leaps up on the table and gestures with his spear. The bell rings. Ding dong. Ruth goes to answer. Beneath to encourage Walter, thoroughly caught up with this side of him. So you're kind of into it.
Wait, I'm in it.
Akomagosai! Flaming spear!
On the table, very far gone, his eyes peer glass sheets. He sees what we cannot. He is the leader of his people, a great chief, a descendant of Chaka, and that the hour to march has come.
Listen, my black brothers.
Akomagosai!
Do you hear the waters rushing against the shores of the coastlands?
Akomagosai!
Do you hear the screeching of the cocks in yonder hills beyond, where the chiefs meet in council for the coming of our mighty war?
Akomagosai!
Do you hear the beating of the wings of the birds flying low over the mountains and the low places of our land?
Ruth opens the door and George Murchison enters. Okay, so the door's over there. Go ahead, Zach. Don't be afraid.
So, wait, is that my line?
No, shut up. Beneath it goes.
Akomagosai!
Do you hear the singing of the women, singing the war songs of our fathers to the babies in the great houses, singing the sweet war songs? Oh, do you hear, my black brothers,
Completely gone.
We hear you, Flaming Spear!
telling us to prepare for the greatness of the time?
To George.
Black brother,
He extends his hand for the fraternal clasp. George,
Black brother, how?
having had enough and embarrassed for the family.
Bennett, you got company.
What's the matter with you? Walter Lee Younger, get down off that table and stop acting like a fool.
Walter comes down off the table suddenly and makes a quick exit to the bathroom.
He's a little drunk. I don't know what her excuse is.
To Benita.
Look, honey, we're going to the theater. You're not going to be in it, so go change, huh?
Okay, browse through the pictures real quick. We're gonna go to the other side of the pictures.
But there's lines.
Yeah, but those aren't part of the play.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, they're part of the play, but they're, you know.
Extra.
Yeah. Okay, Ruth,
You expect this boy to go out with you looking like that?
looking at George.
That's up to George. If he's ashamed of his heritage.
Oh, don't be so proud of yourself, Beanie, just because you look eccentric.
How can something that's natural be
Eccentric.
eccentric?
That's what being eccentric means. Being natural. Get dressed.
I don't like that, George.
Ruth, stop for a minute. Asagaya, did he like things natural?
Yeah.
Yes, does George?
No.
No, think of them as opposites. Okay, Ruth.
Why must you and your brother make an argument out of everything people say?
Because I hate assimilationist Negroes.
Will somebody please tell me what a assimila whoever means?
This is funny because she's actually going to explain one of your vocab words within the play. Okay.
Oh, it's just a college girl's way of saying or of calling people Uncle Toms, but that isn't what it means at all.
Well, what does it mean?
Cutting George off and staring at him as she replies to Ruth.
It means someone who is willing to give up his own culture and submerge himself completely into the dominant, and in this case, oppressive culture.
So she means white culture in this case. George.
Oh dear, 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 here we go, a lecture on the African past. Oh, our great West African heritage. In 1 second, we will hear all about the great
Ashanti.
Ashanti empires, the great Songhai civilization, and the great sculpture of Benin, and then some poetry in Bantu, and the whole monologue will end with the word heritage.
Nastily.
Let's face it, baby, your heritage is nothing but a bunch of raggedy-ass spirituals and some grass huts.
Grass huts?
Ruth crosses to her and forcibly pushes her toward the bedroom. So push her back towards my desk.
See there, you're standing in your splendid ignorance talking about people who were the first to smelt iron on the face of the earth.
Ruth is pushing her through the door.
The Ashanti were performing surgical operations when the English...
Ruth pulls the door to with Benita on the other side and smiles graciously at George. Benita opens the door and shouts the end of the sentence defiantly at George.
were still tattooing themselves with blue dragons.
She goes back inside.
Have a seat, George.
So you can sit on the couch, you both can. They both sit. Ruth folds her hands rather primly on her lap, determined to demonstrate the civilization of the family.
Warm, ain't it? I mean, for September.
Pause.
Just like they always say about Chicago weather. If it's too hot or cold for you, just wait a minute and it'll change.
Sounds like Wisconsin. Yeah. She smiles happily at this cliche of cliches.
Everybody say it's got to do with them bombs and things they keep setting off.
Pause.
Would you like a nice cold beer?
No, thank you. I don't care for beer.
He looks at his watch.
I hope she hurries up.
What time is the show?
Oh, it's 8:30 curtain. That's just Chicago, though. In New York, standard curtain time is 8:40.
He's rather proud of this knowledge, properly appreciating it.
You get to New York a lot?
Offhand.
Few times a year.
Oh, that's nice. I've never been to New York.
Walter enters. We feel he has relieved himself, but the edge of unreality is still with him, so you're just kind of tipsy now. Walter.
New York ain't got nothing, Chicago ain't. Just a bunch of hustling people all squeezed up together being Eastern.
He turns his face into a screw of displeasure.
Oh, you've been?
Plenty of times.
Shocked at the lie.
Walter Lee Younger.
Staring her down.
Plenty.
Pause.
What we got to drink in the house? Why don't you offer this man some refreshment?
To George.
They don't know how to entertain people in this house, man.
Thank you. I don't really care for anything.
Feeling his head, sobriety coming.
Where's Mama?
She ain't come back yet.
Looking Murchison over from head to toe, scrutinizing his carefully casual tweed sports jacket over a cashmere V-neck sweater, over soft eyelet shirt and tie, and soft slacks, finished off with white buckskin shoes.
Why all you college boys wear them fairyish looking white shoes?
Walter Lee.
George Murchison ignores the remark. To Ruth.
Well, they look crazy as hell. White shoes, cold as it is.
Crush.
You have to excuse him.
No, he don't. Excuse me for what? What you always excusing me for? I'll excuse myself when I needs to be excused.
A pause.
They look as funny as them black knee socks Beneatha wears out of here all the time.
It's the college style, Walter.
Style? Hell, she looks like she got burnt legs or something.
Oh, Walter.
An irritable mimic.
Oh, Walter. Oh, Walter. How's your old man making out? I understand. You all going to buy that big hotel on the drive?
He finds a beer in the refrigerator, wanders over to Murchison, sipping and wiping his lips with the back of his hand, and straddling a chair backwards to talk to the other man. So there's a chair right next to you. There we go. And he says, do you know what they're talking about?
Shrewd move. Your old man is all right, man.
Tapping his head and half winking for emphasis.
I mean, he knows how to operate. I mean, he thinks big. You know what I mean? I mean, for a home, you know. But I think he's kind of running out of ideas now. I'd like to talk to him. Listen, man, I got some plans that can turn this city upside down. I mean, I think like he does. Big. And invest big. Gamble big. Hell, lose big. If you have to, you know what I mean? It's hard to find a man on this whole south side who understands my kind of thinking. You dig?
He scrutinizes Murchison again, drinks his beer, squints his eyes, and leans in close, confidential, man to man.
Me and you ought to sit down and talk sometimes, man. Man, I got some ideas.
With boredom.
Oh,
Exactly.
ooh. Wait, where?
Down at the bottom
Oh,
of
yeah.
70.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have to do that, Walter.
Understanding the indifference and offended.
Yeah. Well, when you get the time, man. I know you a busy little boy.
Walter, please.
Bitterly hurt.
I know I ain't nothing in this world as busy as you colored college boys with your fraternity pins and white shoes.
Covering her face with humiliation.
Oh, Walter Lee.
I see you all the time with those books tucked under your arms, going to your
British accent.
classes. And for what? What the hell are you learning over there? Filling up your heads
Counting off on his fingers.
with the sociology and the psychology, but they teaching you how to be a man, how to take over and run the world. They teaching you how to run a rubber plantation or a steel mill? No, just to talk proper and read books and wear white shoes.
Looking at him with distaste, a little above it all.
You're all whacked up on bitterness, man.
You may want to put like a star next to that. That's a pretty good quote for something someone said about Walter. Okay. Walter, intently, almost, you can write in the book, it's okay, they're ruined as it is. Intently, almost quietly, between the teeth, glaring at the boy.
And you, ain't you bitter, man? Ain't you just about had it yet? Don't you see no stars gleaming that you can't reach out and grab? You happy? You contented son of a bitch. You happy? You got it made. Bitter? Man, I'm a volcano. Bitter? Here I am a giant, surrounded by ants. Ants who can't even understand what it is the giant is talking about.
Quite humble. Passionately and suddenly,
Oh, Walter, ain't you with nobody?
violently,
No, 'cause ain't nobody with me. Not even my own mother.
Walter, that's a terrible thing to say.
Beneatha enters, dressed for the evening in a cocktail dress and earrings.
Well, hey, you look great.
Let's go, George. See you all later.
Have a nice time.
Thanks. Good night.
To Walter sarcastically.
Good night, Prometheus.
Benita and George exit. To Ruth.
Who's Prometheus?
I don't know, don't worry about it.
In a fury, pointing after George.
See there? They get to a point where they can't insult you man to man. They gotta go talk about something ain't nobody never heard of.
How do you know it was an insult?
To humor him.
Maybe Prometheus is a nice fellow.
Prometheus? I bet there ain't even no such thing. I bet that simple-minded clown is a...
Oh, Walter,
She stops what she's doing and looks at him, yelling.
Don't start.
start what?
You're nagging. Where was I? Who was I with? How much money did I spend?
Plaintively,
Walter Lee, why don't we just try and talk about it?
not listening.
I've been out talking with people who understand. People who care about the things I got on my mind.
Warily.
I guess that means people like Willie Harris.
Yes, people like Willie Harris.
With a sudden flash of impatience.
Why don't you just all just hurry up and go into the banking business and stop talking about it?
Why? You want to know why? Because we all tied up in a race of people that don't know how to do nothing but moan, pray, and have babies.
The line is too bitter even for him, and he looks at her and sits down.
Oh, Walter.
Softly,
Honey, why can't you stop fighting me?
without thinking.
Who's fighting? Who even cares about you?
Oh. This line begins the retardation of his mood, meaning the dulling. Okay, the calming down a little bit. Because he just dropped a bomb. I mean, just to say to your wife who even cares about you. Okay, Ruth.
Well,
She waits a long time and then with resignation starts to put away her things,
I guess I might as well go to bed.
more or less to herself,
I don't know where we lost it, but we have.
then to him.
I'm sorry about this new baby, Walter. I guess maybe I better go on and do what I started. I guess I just didn't realize how bad things was with us. I guess I just didn't really realize.
She starts out to the bedroom and stops.
You want some hot milk?
Hot milk?
Yes, hot milk.
Why hot milk?
'Cause after all that liquor you come home with, you ought to have something hot in your stomach.
I don't want no milk.
You want some coffee then?
No, I don't want no coffee. I don't want nothing hot to drink.
Almost plaintively,
Are you always trying to give me something to eat?
standing and looking at him helplessly.
What else can I give you, Walter Lee Younger?
She stands and looks at him and presently turns to go out again. He lifts his head and watches her going away from him in a new mood, which began to emerge when he asked her, "Who cares about you?"
It's been rough, ain't it, baby?
She hears and stops but doesn't turn around and he continues to her back.
I guess between two people there ain't never as much understood as folks generally think there is. I mean, like between me and you.
She turns to face him.
How we get to the place where we scared to talk softness to each other.
He waits, thinking hard himself.
How you think it gotta be like that?
He is thoughtful, almost as a child would be.
Ruth, what is it gets you into people ought to be close?
I don't know, honey. I think about it a lot.
On account of you and me, you mean? The way things are with us. The way something done come down between us.
There ain't so much between us, Walter. Not when you come to me and try and talk to me. Try to be with me, a little even.
Total honesty.
Sometimes, I don't even know how to try.
Walter,
Yes?
Coming to him gently and with misgiving, but coming to him.
honey, life don't have to be like this. I mean, sometimes people can do things so that things are better. You remember how we used to talk when Travis was born about the way we were going to live? The kind of house?
Go do this. She's stroking his head.
Well, it's all starting to slip away from us.
Mama enters and Walter jumps up and shouts at her.
Mom, where have you been all day?
My, them steps was longer than they used to be. Phew.
She sits down and ignores him.
How are you feeling this evening, Ruth?
Ruth shrugs, disturbed some at having been prematurely interrupted and watching her husband knowingly.
Mom, where have you been all day?
Still ignoring him and leaning on the table and changing to more comfortable shoes.
Where's Travis? I let him go out earlier, and he ain't come back yet. Boy, he is going to get it.
Mama,
Yes, son? Oh, sorry.
As if she has heard him for the first time.
Yes, son?
where did you go this afternoon?
I went downtown to tend some business that I had to tend to.
What kind of business?
You know better than to ask questions to me like a kid. Like a child
Rising,
brother.
bending over the table,
Where were you, Mama?
bringing his fist down and shouting.
Mama, you didn't go do something with that insurance money, something crazy?
The front door opens slowly, interrupting him, and Travis peeks his head in less than hopefully to his mother.
Mama,
Mama, I nothing. You are going to get it, boy. Get in that bedroom and get yourself ready.
This was the 50s before Oprah said it was bad to beat your children. Okay.
Why don't you all never let the child explain himself?
Keep out of it now, Lena.
Mama clamps her lips together and Ruth advances toward her son menacingly,
1,000 times I have told you not to go off like that.
holding out her arms to her grandson.
Well, at least let me tell him something. I want him to be the first to hear. Come here, son, Travis.
The boy obeys gladly. Travis, she takes him by the shoulder and looks into his face. You can put your arm around his shoulder if you're comfortable. Okay.
This is cute.
You know what that money we got in the mail this morning?
yes.
Well, what you think your grandma gone and done with that money?
I don't know, Grandma.
Don't do this. Putting her finger on his nose for emphasis.
She went out and bought you a house.
The explosion comes from Walter at the end of the revelation, and he jumps up and turns away from all of them in fury. Mama continues to Travis.
You glad about the house? Oh, it's going to be yours when you get to be a man.
Yeah, I always wanted to live in a house.
Alright, give me some sugar then.
Travis puts his arms around her neck as she watches her son over the boy's shoulder. Then to Travis after the embrace.
Now, when you say your prayer tonight, you thank God and your grandfather, because it was him who gave you the house in his way.
Taking the boy from Mama and pushing him toward the bedroom.
Now get out of here and get ready for your beating. Get on in there.
Closing the door behind him and turning radiantly to her mother-in-law.
Oh, this one.
So you went and did it?
Quietly, looking at her son with pain.
Yes, I did.
Raising both arms, so you're super excited, okay? Raising both arms classically.
Praise God.
Looking at Walter a moment, who says nothing, she crosses rapidly to her husband.
Please, honey, let me be glad. You be glad too.
She has laid her hands on his shoulders, but he shakes himself free of her roughly without turning to face her.
Oh, Walter, a home. A home.
She comes back to Mama.
Well, where is it? How big is it? How much money is it going to cost?
Well,
When we move in?
Smiling at her,
first of the month.
throwing back her head with jubilance.
Praise God.
Tentatively, still looking at her son's back turned against her and Ruth.
It's a nice house too.
She can't help speaking directly to him, an imploring quality in her voice. Her manner makes her almost like a girl now.
3 bedrooms, nice one big one for you and Ruth. Me and Benita still have to share our own room, but Travis has his own. And
With difficulty,
I figured if the new baby is a boy, we could get one of them double-decker outfits. And there's a yard for a little patch of dirt where I can maybe get to grow me a few flowers and a nice big basement.
Walter, honey, be glad.
still to his back, fingering things on the table.
Of course, I don't want to make it sound fancier than it is. It's just a plain little old house, but it's made good and solid, and it will be ours. Walter Lee, it makes a difference in a man when he can walk on the floors that belong to him.
Where is it?
Frightened at this telling,
Well, it's outside the Siler Park.
Clybourne Park.
Clybourne?
Yep, Clybourne. It's a place in Chicago.
Clybourne Park.
Ruth's radiance fades abruptly, and Walter finally turns slowly to face his mother with incredulity and hostility.
Where?
Matter-of-factly,
406 Clybourne Street, Clybourne Park.
Clybourne Park? Mama, there ain't no colored people living in Clybourne Park.
almost idiotically,
Well, I guess there's going to be some there now.
bitterly.
So that's the peace and comfort you went out to and bought for us today.
raising her eyes to meet his finally.
Son, I just tried to find the nicest place for the least amount of money for my family.
Trying to recover from the shock.
Well, of course, I one never been afraid of no crackers. Mind you, but well, wasn't there no other houses nowhere?
Them houses they put up for college in them areas areas way out seem to cost as much as other houses. I did the best I could.
Struck senseless with the news, and its very radiance spreading from cheek to cheek again.
Well, all I can say is, if this is my time in life, my time to say goodbye.
And she builds with momentum as she starts to circle the room with an exuberant, almost tearfully happy release.
To these goddamn cracking walls
She pounds the walls.
and these marching roaches
She wipes at an imaginary army of marching roaches.
and this cramped little closet which ain't now or never was no kitchen, then I say it loud and good. Hallelujah. And goodbye, misery. I don't never want to see your ugly face again.
She laughs joyously, having practically destroyed the apartment, and flings her arms up and lets them come down happily, slowly, reflectively over her abdomen, aware for the first time perhaps that the life therein pulses with happiness and not despair.
Lena,
Moved, watching her happiness, looking off,
is there a whole lot of sunlight?
understanding,
Yes, child, there's a whole lot of sunlight.
long pause, collecting herself and going to the door of the room Travis is in.
Well, I guess I'd better see about Travis.
To Mama,
Lord, I sure don't feel like whipping that boy today.
she exits. The mother and the son are left alone now, and the mother waits a long time, considering deeply before she speaks.
Son, you understand what I've done, don't you see?
Walter is silent and sullen.
I just see my family falling apart today, just falling to pieces in front of my eyes. We couldn't have gone on like we was today. We was going backwards instead of forwards, talking about killing babies and wishing each other was dead. When it gets like this in life, you just got to do something different. Push on out and do something bigger.
She waits.
I wish you'd say something, son. I wish you'd say how deep inside you think I've done the right thing.
Crossing slowly to his bedroom door and finally turning there and speaking measuredly.
What you need me to say, you've done right for. You, the head of this family. You run our lives like you want to. It was your money, and you did what you wanted with it. So what you need for me to say, it was all right for.
Bitterly, to hurt her as deeply as he knows is possible.
So you butchered up a dream of mine. You were always talking about your children's dreams.
Walter Lee.
He closes the door behind him. Mama sits alone, thinking heavily. Curtin, let's give a round of applause to the actors today. Okay,
My bad, guys.
couple announcements. We got about 2 minutes left.
All right, cool.
Your vocab
See ya.
packet is